So I want to let everyone know that robotcloud.net has had its own domain for ever, but we were using the forgetcomputers.com domain, and we've separated that out. So now, if you go to robotcloud.net, you'll see our new site, which is still in development, but is a much cleaner and I think more interesting site to visit. And if you're looking for additional links, we've got some forums here. We'll be talking about first run today, and we have some documentation. The first one I want to talk about is the first run form. This, many of you have joined Robot Cloud before we had this. I want to encourage all of you to visit this form and fill them out, fill both of them out. Even if you feel that you don't need to, I would love to get your feedback on the form. I would love to see if it triggers any ideas for you of how you can better use Robot Cloud and take full advantage of the automation that's built into Robot Cloud. So before or when we get off the call here, everyone please visit this forum. We'll send a link out as well. Kat, let's make sure everyone has a link to this directly, and fill that out
Sure.
as best you can. Give us feedback, and we'll follow up with you on next steps. So why are we asking for this information? Well, this information is tied to uh, the first run action. And I'm going to go into documentation, and I'm going to go into Mac management. And the second item here under welcome, get started with your robot is example workflow and first run action. And this is new, so many of you probably have not seen this. And this simply walks through what happens to a Mac when it gets enrolled in Robot Cloud and what happens immediately after enrollment. The first thing I want to touch on is something I've heard over and over at Apple conferences for the past couple of years, and that is IT needs to get out of the business of unboxing these computers. Apple has spent a lot of time on their box and what they call the unboxing experience, and they want the customer to experience that, the customer being the person actually using the machine. And we all know as IT professionals, we tend to get it, open it, unbox it, prep it, hand it over to the customer. And Apple is encouraging us to stop doing that and to deliver it straight to the customer. And one of the ways they've made that easier is with their device enrollment program, or DEP. Robot Cloud does integrate with DEP. The hardest part about DEP is actually getting a DEP account, and we can help you as best we can to enable you to get your own account. Kat has lots of experience with that, and it can be done. And I think Apple's making the process easier and more full-featured. So I do encourage you to look into that. Today, most of our clients do not have DEP, so the enrollment process is manual. And the basic concept is you give them the computer, you ask them to visit a website and to enroll the Mac into Robot Cloud. If they don't do that, or you don't want them to do that, then you can do it for them. It's not complicated. You've all done it. You download a package, you run it, you install it, it's enrolled. So what happens during enrollment? We have a basic list of things that happen, the inventory report, SSH enabled, self-service. Spend some time looking at this, send us any questions. This is everything that happens during the enrollment process and pretty much applies to everybody, no matter who you are in Robot Cloud, with maybe an exception here or there, or if you need an exception, reach out to us with a business case why, we can investigate it. After enrollment is where we start to get into the customization. And set location is critical for the customization because we have to know where your device is living, and in order to give it custom applications or custom actions. So the first thing that we ask you to do after enrollment is to set or confirm the location. With some proper planning, and Chad, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, if we know your IP address in advance, and even if we know your network segment in advance, we can set your location and possibly even a sub location. Once we know where you live, we know what types of actions your computer needs to get through Robot Cloud. How do we determine that? it has been a challenge in the past, but now that we have that first run form, which I mentioned, and I'm going to go back there just to show that again, robotcloud.net forms first run. This is where we're going to start the conversation. We're going to ask you a series of questions to help you customize your first run. And first run, like the name implies, is simply what do you want to happen at your location for all of your computers, or all of your computers maybe in a particular group within your location. For example, if you know everybody needs Microsoft Office 2016, or everyone needs CyberDuck, the FTP application that's out there as an example, why ask the client to install it? Why ask yourself or your employees or your technicians or your engineers to install it? Why don't we just automate it? That's the real power of first run. What can we do to automate those manual tasks that we are doing over and over again? So here is an example workflow, or rather first run action that we're listing here. Yours may vary, but once the location is set, first run will trigger. And Chad, do you want to talk just briefly, so I'm not droning on and on here, do you want to talk briefly about the difference between letting it happen in that first hour and triggering it on your own?
Yeah, certainly. So once the location is set and RobotCloud knows exactly what should happen, if you were just to leave the Mac alone, a launch daemon process would trigger within the first hour, and it would run all of the different installs and configuration that you have specified in your first run. If you did not want to wait, say you're in front of the machine and you're just looking to trigger it right away, we've made an easy self-service button that will accomplish the same thing. So you can wait and have the same thing applied, or you can essentially just do it now.
In addition, we could do it through the command line. Is that correct, Chad? I didn't mention that here in the article, but we can do it. We can run or trigger the first run action through self-service or through the command line, correct?
That's correct, yeah. Most of our actions, if not all, have command line arguments that can be used instead. So if you have other things you want to do or a supplemental script, you can add a single line to call the first run in a greater part of a workflow, or give us that script and we can put it in and help you integrate that too.
Yeah, great. And I'll add that to the document, the command line trigger or a reference to it. So in this example, let's just walk through this because I think it's helpful to talk about it briefly. We have local admin accounts that get installed. For us at Forget Computers, our clients, it's an admin account for us and it's an admin account for our customer, and that is automated. And once those are installed, if we need to periodically, either on schedule or because of a termination, change a password, then we can also automate the changing of that password. The Mac is bound to Active Directory. In some cases, that's a requirement at our customer locations. So once again, rather than wait for someone with admin credentials or Active Directory admin credentials to come around and manually bind the machine, let's automate it. Software updates are disabled because we don't want the customer getting interrupted in the middle of the day while they're working to run Adobe, Apple, or Microsoft patches that might actually break something and cause them to have more downtime than they anticipated. Remote control software is installed. We use LogMeIn, but there are others out there that people use, and that can get installed through Robot Cloud. Designated security standards are enforced. This is a wide array of variations out there as far as what is considered secure or not, or what is essential. But in some cases, we're file vaulting machines, admin accounts are noted and notifications are sent on future changes. This is helpful when someone elevates themselves for one reason or another. IT might want to know about it, or how did they elevate themselves. Code vulnerabilities are checked and updated. Alerts on failed SSH attempts. This is another one that is often helpful for IT to know, is someone trying to use SSH to get access to a machine. And then antivirus, if you subscribe to any antivirus software, that can get installed. printers, printer drivers, printer presets. Those can all get installed. That takes some extra work, but in an office with a lot of people, where you don't want to go around and manually install printers or risk installing them and getting it wrong because there's so many options to choose from, it's really nice to have this automated. Support menu. If you're not using support menu, I encourage you to use it, to customize it. Put your own logo here, your own tagline, your own links, tools, and Zendesk if you use it. And we can automate the distribution of support menu. And then we have some maintenance tools. We've listed a couple here: Smart Status, Disk Verification. Chad and I talked about while building this list that we may need to create more documents to explain in even more detail what some of this stuff does. But for now, if you have any questions, let us know. And then lastly, additional actions are deployed. That could be installing software if you know everyone needs a copy, or it could be updating or patching third-party software. If it exists, typically on a brand new machine, it's not going to exist. But if you've migrated a machine and it has existing software that it pulled over, it'll see that and it'll patch it. If not during the first run, then the next time it's scheduled to run, which could be in the evening, could be on the weekend, or depending on the application, Chad, could be during the day. Do we patch any applications during the day?
Actually, most third-party applications are patched during the day. They're patched silently in the background. The user is unaware. There are only a couple that require the app to be quit, and in those cases, those would be patched after hours.
Okay, great. And then for us, CrashPlan is almost always installed. Now, follow-up items. Obviously, automation is going to get you a long way down the road, but the last mile, so to speak, might have to be handled manually. And we've listed some things here that we still do manually, or we might do manually in smaller offices because it's not necessary to build the level of automation that a larger office requires. So that's an overview of an example workflow in the first run action, and I hope it answers a lot of questions that we've gotten over the years about how this works. And I encourage everyone to fill out those first run forms. Like I said, even if you feel that you're in a good place, fill it out. Maybe you'll get some new ideas. Maybe you'll give us some new ideas. I also want to mention one of the items on this page here is talking about the unboxing experience and sending the computer directly to the user. Well, the user still will benefit from some instruction. And we recently created this Mac setup page. And here's what it looks like on my computer, but it's really built to be viewed on an iPhone. And the concept is that we would send a text message to their iPhone with the setup instructions. And if they have any problems, they can contact us or browse our help center. This is really new. We haven't been using this much at all, but the plan is over the next several months to really aggressively start using this, getting feedback and improving it. And it was something that was mentioned at the Jamf, JNUC. IBM did something. I don't know if they did quite this, but they had a little card or something they gave to their employees who had new Macs of how to get enrolled and how to get support, because that's another benefit of enrolling into your support system is you can't help them if they're not in the system. So this is a way to get them in the system, help them along the way, offer help if they have any questions. And I would encourage everyone to look at this page and consider building one of your own, and all of us sharing ideas about what works and what doesn't work. And then I want to also mention briefly that we do have a YouTube page. And in fact, from here, if you were to click on our YouTube link at the bottom, it'll take you to our YouTube page where we have, under playlist, we have our Robot Cloud, Master Your Robot Cloud, which is what you're listening to right now. Let me go back here. Master Your Robot Cloud. So we have the 4 videos from last year. This one will be the 5th. And we also have Robot Cloud Actions, where we have small videos, very quick, very short, that are linked to our knowledge base articles. And if we look at set location, here's the one that we talked about today. As part of the first run, you have to set the location. So this is just a quick video of what it looks like if you want to see exactly how it works. And all we're doing here is running the set location action. It's asking us to confirm the location. In this case, it's identified it. And then it asks us if we want to do actions or inventory and notifications. Obviously, inventory and notifications, which you've also heard referred to as inventory and alerts, is not going to do any patching or automation beyond daily inventory and daily alerting. And that is the presentation. However, I want to do one more plug, and that is if you use Zendesk, we now have a dashboard app in the Zendesk marketplace. So if you use Zendesk and you use Robot Cloud, I encourage you to go into your Zendesk right now and install the Robot Cloud dashboard. And what you're going to get is this very cool little app in your Zendesk that's going to read information from dashboard. And it's a shortcut to see exactly what problem areas you might have and a shortcut directly into dashboard. So that's the presentation for today. Kat, Chad, do we have any questions or comments?
We do have some questions. First question is crash plan status. Is it built in correct? I'm assuming that that's talking about is it built into our Robot Cloud alerting system through dashboard. If I did not interpret your question that correctly, please let us know. But correct, guys. Yes, it is built in.
Yeah.
Chad, I don't know if you want to elaborate off of that.
Well, Chad, maybe you can chime in as well. But we get some confusion around this because what we're doing is we're giving users a way to quickly identify. Like in this case, I've got a yellow warning sign which tells me my backup is not as recent as I would like it to be, and I can open up dashboard and I can go in and see exactly when the backup was. However, that's just one indicator. And in the case of CrashPlan, I would rely 100% on the CrashPlan tools, the admin CrashPlan tools, to tell me if something is backed up or not. I would use Dashboard and Robot Cloud as a double check or verification. But anyone who's looking to rely 100% on Robot Cloud for CrashPlan alerting, I don't think that's something that you would want to do. Chad, do you agree?
Yeah, well, the reason is that with everybody running their own CrashPlan instance, could be cloud, could be an on-prem server, each of those accounts would have a different set of API credentials. And there's no secure way for Robot Cloud to directly connect to get the most up-to-date information into dashboard. So what is done instead is that the current backup status on the Mac, when the Mac checks in, is then reported to dashboard from that point. So it's a handoff of that information. Dashboard is not a direct connection to the CrashPlan console. So when Ben is mentioning, use it as a double check, essentially the most current information is always going to be in CrashPlan. The backup information in dashboard could be up to an hour out of date because dashboard only updates itself once per hour, and every Mac doesn't necessarily update itself every hour.
Yeah, that too.
So the information will be current, but it won't be to the minute current.
Yeah, plus we're not sending email alerts on CrashPlan, are we, Chad? No email notifications. We're relying on
the CrashPlan servers do that part.
Yeah, it would be redundant for us to do that when CrashPlan already has a notification system in place, and that's really where the notification should come. Now, I do recall there was one situation we had a couple years ago where Dashboard was telling us, and really Dashboard's the only place that you're going to see this. You're not going to get notifications from Robot Cloud about CrashPlan. Now, Time Machine is a little different. You will get notifications about Time Machine. But CrashPlan was saying that there was no backup, not a recent backup, and yet our CrashPlan server was saying everything was okay, and we had an issue with our CrashPlan server not updating its information. So it was, I don't remember the details, but it basically uncovered for us that we had a problem with CrashPlan, and that's why I think it's valuable and it's a good double check. But because of the way Chad just described, we're pulling information from the Mac, not from the CrashPlan server. You really want to utilize both and rely more on CrashPlan. I hope that answered the question, but if not, give us a call. Send us an email.
Yeah. We do have a couple other questions that I wanted us to get to. Someone asked, I think they're referencing connectivity. So the quote is connecting to the Ethernet. What if they have a Retina or an Air? Assuming the adapter, is there something over the air we could do, guys?
Yeah, we mentioned here we recommend connecting to Ethernet for the best experience, although a Wi-Fi network will also get the job done, albeit slower. So we know a lot of people are on Wi-Fi now, and Wi-Fi will certainly work. It's just that for that best experience, especially during first enrollment, when you may be downloading the entire Creative Suite. I don't know if we have anyone doing that, Chad, but technically it's possible. And you might be doing that over your local network, but you're still going to have a better experience if you're plugged in. And yes, we often do encourage our customers to get the Ethernet adapters. Is that right, Chad?
It is, or they go with Thunderbolt displays if they're portable users.
Yeah.
Next question. Is there a way to create an excluded application list to prevent certain apps from being installed, for example, torrenting software?
Absolutely. You just let us know what you want to block.
So yes, the answer is yes.
We can add it.
The answer is yes. We're just
I don't know if we put it on there.
What's that, Chad?
If it's not on their first run form right now, we should put it on because it's absolutely possible.
Oh yeah, good. I'll make a mention of blocking apps.
Yeah, especially today. I know at least our office. We're in downtown Chicago, and I know a lot of the high-rises in downtown Chicago, they provide internet for the companies that rent through them. So a lot of them have it where no torrenting is allowed, otherwise you'll get fined. So a lot of companies will rely on Robot Cloud to try to block certain software applications. Torrenting, for example, is a really good reference to run with, just to make sure everyone's playing by the rules, not doing anything they shouldn't be, things like that, or even they may innocently try to upgrade an OS. We can put OS blocks out there too if you wanted. That way people aren't innocently upgrading to maybe El Capitan and they're not ready for it. So I know I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent, but just wanted to let you know what's possible.
Yeah, mentioning Wi-Fi, Cat, reminds me that, Chad, how many times have we had people call us, clients, because they're having issues, and we discover that they're on a public Wi-Fi access point that's very near their office, and of course the connection is terrible, and it's slow and it drops often. And how they end up with that, I don't know. But once they're on it, they seem to not be able to forget it. And plugging in obviously is going to avoid that problem, and then going in and removing that network from their network preference pane will help force them onto their own proper network.
Yep, and we can go even a step further. If this is a problem in your office or for a particular client, we can write a script so that at login or even periodically, it will move that Wi-Fi connection back. This is actually particularly handful in locations where you may have a main Wi-Fi access network that has access to all the back of house type of servers, and you have a guest access where perhaps they've gone into a conference room, they've connected to the guest network just to get some internet during a meeting, then they come back to their desk and all of a sudden they can't get to their server, or their email doesn't work in Outlook, something to that effect. So we can do some creative things based on location changes.
Okay, great. Thanks, Chad. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was just going to say there's a lot of questions, which is really great. We love the engagement. So the next question, and unless there's any other ones, this is the last question that I see coming up. We do obviously have a few more minutes. These webinars and Q&A time go till 3 Central Standard Time. But if you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, this question, is there a way to designate a Robot Cloud install as a OS 10 server so it looks different from a standard install?
Chad, do you know what that question's getting at?
Well, oh, okay. So perhaps in dashboard or something to that effect, they want it to say OS 10 server like it did in 10.6 and in 10.7, but in 10.8 and later it just shows OS 10. You know, 10.8, 10.9, 10.10, even if server app is installed. That's a change we could make to dashboard.
Yeah, they said visually in dashboard. They just reconfirmed. Yep.
Oh yeah, we could totally do that. If that would be helpful, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out exactly how to do that. But speaking of dashboard, one of the things that we haven't quite announced yet is there's a little screen grab. We labeled all the vintage and obsolete devices in dashboard, and we have to do a double check on those. And you're going to see this right now. You're just going to see it in text, but you're going to see a little icon. Replace that soon, and it's going to link to the Apple knowledge base article on what is obsolete and what is vintage. And then eventually you're going to see that show up in the dashboard integration right here. So if you're working on a machine, you want to know right away, you know, this machine is vintage, this machine is obsolete, and remind the customer that they're running on a very old machine. So I guess the next step would be, at least related to that question, is designating the machine as OS 10 server. Is that right, Chad?
Yes, yeah. That will not be an issue for us to change.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, that was something we kind of lost when Apple changed the way they deal with. I mean, when server became an app instead of an operating system, right?
Correct. Yeah. Although 10.7 still says server if you have server app installed, but later versions do not. So.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. Well, this has been very productive. And if there are no more questions, we'll say thank you very much and see you next month. But continue to reach out to us if anything comes up between now and then.
Yeah, that concludes all questions. If you did have any follow-up questions, I know someone messaged me saying, hey, can we get some pricing? Absolutely, be more than happy to send that. Any follow-up questions, you can feel free to reach out to us directly. We do have a contact form on our page. You can email me directly. It's kat@forgetcomputers.com. And from there, you know, we're more than happy to answer any follow-up questions that you may have. And if you have any feedback, you can also send that to feedback@forgetcomputers.com. If you think of anything as you complete your first run action form that maybe you didn't see or you would like to see that we maybe didn't think of or glossed over, let us know. I'm more than happy to take a look at those recommendations.
Okay, thanks everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.